Luna müht sich mit Mathematik. Sie geht in die 8. Klasse der Realschule. Ihre Leistungen sind in den letzten Wochen deutlich schlechter geworden.
Oha. Ja, wozu brauche ich das denn? Ich will Journalistin werden, keine Mathematikerin. Ich stelle es mir so vor, dass ich Journalistin bin, in Manhattan wohne, bin ausgewandert nach New York und dann lebe ich da halt in Manhattan. Habe ich einen Mann, der ist schwarz, der heißt John und ist Soldat und ist in Ghana stationiert. Und ich habe einen Sohn und der ist so karamellfarben und dann wohne ich mit denen und bin alleinerziehend und unabhängig. So stelle ich mir das gut vor.
So Cologne, proud of its attitude towards art, artists, different cultures. Germany's accepted somewhere in the neighborhood of 1 million refugees. How do you realistically say, welcome to Germany, and we're all going to learn to live together? Can that be done?
It could be done, of course, but I hope that all the right-wing people will not develop. And this is, for example, a job for an artist. Maybe we should go out 100 people with Nazi uniforms and walk through the city. Maybe this kind of actions will just make the people remind on the time and what our grandfathers did wrong. We really have to take care that we don't fall back in these structures.
But we kind of are.
We are on the way.
We are here necessarily. We're well on our way.
I'm allowed to be naive and
honestly
talk about utopias. It's a kind of utopia, just the fact that the whole world will mix up with each other, that in, I don't know, 70, 80 years, there will be no white people anymore and only cappuccino-colored people.
Look, that's the only way. This is the only solution. It's my way of thinking.
Mix up.
It's our only hope, is our way out of this.
Yes.
It's going to take some time, but it's really the only way. This sort of Singaporean model where everybody's so mixed up that you really don't know who to hate because everybody's so hopelessly intertwined, but we're a long way from that.
What's the aim of multiculturalism?
That we all live together in a harmonious society,
Is it a journey? Is it a journey or a destination? When are we multicultural enough? When? When's the end?
It doesn't end, believe it or not.
It doesn't end until what?
For you, history ends.
There's no more white people left?
History ends and doesn't change. Like before you asked, you know, where are we at today? Well, I'll tell you where we're at today. We're in the year 2016. The year 2016 is not the year 1900. It's not the year 1945.
It's the same year that 49% of people called for an end to Muslim immigration.
Based on 1,000.
Multicultural.
Not only our Muslim communities, but African communities, Asian communities, Hispanic communities, and the wave still continues. It's not going to stop, nor should we want it to stop. As a matter of fact, it's one of the things I think we can be most proud of. So there's a second thing in that black box, an unrelenting stream of immigration, non-stop, non-stop. Folks like me who are Caucasian of European descent, for the first time in 2017, will be in an absolute minority in the United States of America. Absolute minority. Fewer than 50% of the people in America, from then and on, will be white European stock. That's not a bad thing. That's a source of our strength.
Figures compiled for the programme suggest that in the next 20 years, the ethnic diversity of this city will change dramatically.
For the first time ever, the number of people who class themselves as white British is now a minority in London.
People who identify as white British citizens are now a minority in their capital cities.
White folks are on track to becoming, and I hate to say this, the minority in America.
A new report out by the government shows that by the year 2042, white Americans will no longer represent the majority of the population. That prediction is 8 years sooner than previously expected.
That the native French population would be finding itself in a rapidly decreasing minority.
Her kan etnisk norske være i mindretall om 20 år i 2030.
Children from white families in Birmingham are set to become a minority group for the first time when this year's census is collected in March.
The latest census suggests white British born are now in a minority.
Census Bureau says whites will be a minority.
Californians know a thing or two about demographic change. 70% of all state school pupils in Los Angeles are Hispanic.
For the first time in American history, non-whites will make up half or more of the next generation, according to a new study by the Pew Research Center.
According to the U.S. Census Bureau, white people will go from being the majority to a minority group in the next 25 years. Yeah, and to make this transition a little less traumatic, we've put together this helpful educational guide.
Nolan Natia has argued for abolishing the white race.
My concern is doing away with whiteness. Whiteness is a form of racial oppression, sure. The suggestion is that it is somehow possible to separate whiteness from oppression, and it is not. There can be no white race without the phenomenon of white supremacy. If you abolish slavery, you abolish slaveholders. In the same way, if you abolish racial oppression, you do away with whiteness. Treason to whiteness is loyalty to humanity.
Your views are fairly well received in academia.
Yes, they're legitimate, not to say that everyone agrees, but sure. I could not point to any examples where it has provoked political censorship.
But it's just, I don't like the way he says it. It's just, it's crass.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Whiteness is an identity that arises entirely out of oppression. Whiteness is not a culture, it's not a religion, it's not a language, it's simply an oppressive social category. Blackness is an identity that can be plausibly argued. Black studies is the study of a people that has formed itself in resistance to its oppression, is to bring this minority together in such a way that it makes it impossible for the legacy of whiteness to continue to reproduce itself.
I remember going to the last above-ground weather, it was the Weatherman or the Weather Underground, the last above-ground convention, and sitting in a room, and the question that was debated was it or was it not the duty of every good revolutionary to kill all newborn white babies? And at that point, it seemed like a relevant framing of an issue. The logic being, hey, look, through no fault of their own, these white kids are going to grow up to be part of an oppressive racial establishment internationally, and so really, you know, your duty is to kill newborn white babies. And I remember one guy kind of tentatively and apologetically suggesting that seemed like it may be contradictory to the larger humanitarian aims of the movement, and being kind of booed down.
AJC has always worked on the premise that as a minority, our security, our strength, our well-being in America is interdependent with those of other minorities.
Let this cracker hear you. We come to help you. Denmark VC had a plan to kill all the slave masters in the state. Denmark VC had a plan to kill every last one of them and kill all of their goddamn families. And we need some new Denmark VCs today. We got to complete what Denmark didn't finish. He never finished his mission. But the real children of Denmark VC is out here today.
Why do white people have a right to affirm their life?
Because all whites have value.
Really? How? How so? Why does white life have value?
Well, I think my
for
life
who?
has
White?
value.
No, excuse me. For who? Our argument is that white life is wrong.
Why?
Our argument is that we should never affirm white life. That your argument of just affirming all life in general is not good, especially not good for black people when white life itself is based off of black
shouldn't we affirm
civilization.
my life?
You're probably white.
I am white. Why shouldn't we affirm my life?
I don't understand why I have to care about your life anyways. There's no ethical reason that's why white people deserve to live. Affirming black life means that white death has to occur. That's why you should lose this debate and why your life ain't worth affirming.
I kill myself like under your arguments.
Sure.
Okay. So should Odie kill himself?
I don't see why not.
Oh, why? Why should we do that? How does that help?
It's ethical.
How is it ethical? We all have some form or another of privilege. Why does that mean we should kill ourselves?
Because you have white privilege.
Why does having white privilege necessarily mean I should kill myself? Why shouldn't I like struggle against the structures?
Sure, struggling against the structure means putting yourself on the line, putting your body on the line. Do it. Affirm your suicide. That's cool. I mean, it's, you know, it's one little form, it's one little step in the right direction.
What am I saying? I dare
David, we gonna have to kill some crackers.
That's right, love it.
We gonna have to kill some cracker babies. Huh? To hell with what National Geographic putting out. I'm telling you to your face here tonight, we gonna have to kill some little Penelopes and some little Robbies. You wanna be free, don't you? Y'all bullshit me. Not sounding like that.
Why we gotta kill them?
Kill them all.
You don't want to be free sounding like that. Regardless to how you feel about me. Regardless to how anybody in this damn world feels about me. I'm gonna fight this goddamn white man. Whether you like it or not. I believe in the death and destruction of white people. Each and every one of them. Don't give a damn if the little bastard just came out of his mama's womb 3 seconds ago. Kill them all. Every last one of them. Don't spare one.
Now, how do I know that the white people know that we are going to come up with a solution to the problem? I know it because they have retina scans, they have what they call racial profiling, DNA banks, and they're monitoring our people to try to prevent the one person from coming up with the one idea. And the one idea is how we are going to exterminate white people, because that, in my estimation, is the only conclusion I have come to. We have to exterminate white people off of the face of the planet to solve this problem.
So do you agree with Malcolm X that white people should be killed? Is that why you're here?
You damn right I do.
You do?
You think I'm scared to say that to you?
You think white people should be killed, huh?
You motherfuckers thought we should be killed when y'all came and stole us from Africa and put us in chains and murdered us for over 400 years, so yeah, you do need to die. I think everybody else on the planet will have peace when you're dead.
No, I'm not. Yes, I'm helping to kill a white baby. The less white babies on this planet, the less of you we got, boo.
The blood is on
I hope they kill all the white babies. Kill them all right now. Kill them. Kill your grandkids. Kill yourself. Coffin, bitch. Go lay in the coffin. Kill yourself.
You just want that person to give you your country back because you feel that you're this country's rightful owners. There's only one problem with that. This country isn't yours. You don't own it. It never was. There is no real America. You don't own it.
We had to rip up this program at the last minute because a CNN anchor talked himself out of a job. Rick Sanchez called Jon Stewart a bigot, that was bad enough, and then went off the deep end, suggesting that Jews control the networks and discriminate against Hispanics. That was reckless, but was it a firing offense? Anyone who makes his living in front of a microphone is going to say dumb things now and then, but Rick Sanchez delivered a reckless rant in a satellite radio interview that went on, and late Friday, CNN issued a terse statement saying he is no longer with the company.
I just think it's important that people who are not minorities understand that those of us who are, and very few of us will say the things that I've just said, are actually more complex than they think we are, and we get
Stewart's
them.
a minority, as much as you are.
Come on. How is he a minority? Yeah. Rick, very powerless people.
Whoa.
But you're such a minority. I mean, please. What, are you kidding?
You're telling me that...
I'm telling you that everybody who runs CNN is a lot like Stewart. And a lot of people who run all the other networks are a lot like Stewart. And to imply that somehow the people in this country who are Jewish, are an oppressed minority? Yeah.
They have a history of oppression, no?
No question about that.
They can't relate to that?
I grew up in Miami. Every one of my best friends was Jewish. What are you talking about?
They can't relate to that? A Jewish person doesn't always have a constant fear in the back of their head that
I think his father could. I think his father could.
I think every Jewish person feels that way.
I hope so.
Of all the Jewish people I talk to, I have a good buddy of mine, he's so paranoid about this this whole mosque thing, because it is, and you hear Bloomberg and other Jews coming out and defending it because it's, when are they coming for us again?
In other words, Jews control the media and the banks too?
People say Jews are too powerful, we're too strong, we're too rich, we control the media, we have too much this, we have too much that, and we often apologetically deny our strength and our power. Don't do that. Don't do that. We have earned the right to influence public debate. We have earned the right to be heard. We have contributed disproportionately to the success of this country. Never, ever apologize for using our strength and our influence in the interest of peace. And if you need a biblical source for it, just remember the psalmist who said, Hashem oz li'amo yitain. God will give the Jewish people strength, oz. And then, only then, Hashem yivarech et amo b'shalom. Only then will God give the Jewish people peace. Peace will come for the Jewish people and the Jewish nation only through strength. Never apologize for using your strength for peace. Thank you. I look forward to a couple of questions.
There are people in Sweden who support Israel and have a deep sense of the injustice of the present situation. It's these people who give hope to those who still believe that things will get better here. One of them is Barbara Spector, a former American who made Aliyah and then 10 years ago, with the help of the government of Sweden, set up a non-denominational institute of Jewish learning with the Greek name of Paideia.
From this day forth, I, King Antiochus, decree that every Jew who will not bow down and accept the Greek gods shall die.
She believes the current wave of anti-Semitism in Sweden will pass and that Jews have an important role to play in a country undergoing profound change.
I think there's a resurgence of anti-Semitism because at this point in time, Europe has not yet learned how to be multicultural. And I think we're going to be part of the throes of that transformation, which must take place. Europe is not going to be the monolithic societies that they once were in the last century. Jews are going to be at the center of that. It's a huge transformation for Europe to make. They are now going into a multicultural mode, and Jews will be resented because of our leading role. But without that leading role and without that transformation, Europe will not survive.
Every day, thousands of refugees arrive on this shore. Most are fleeing the Syrian civil war, hoping to resettle in Europe. Waiting to help them on the beaches of Greece are the last people the Syrians might expect. Volunteers from Israel. The IsraAid team is a mix of doctors and nurses, both Arab and Jewish.
Our job here is to receive the boats of the refugees that are coming from the Turkish side to the Greek side.
And although Israel and Syria are technically at war, none of that matters here on the beach.
What's right now at the top of the agenda for you from within the JCPA?
There are two issues at the top of our agenda at the very moment. One is the unbelievably important immigration debate in this country. To make sure that immigrants from around the world, particularly those from south of our border, have a chance here. The 12 million or 13 million that just live here and do work and aren't really going home. That they have a chance to stay here justly and as legal immigrants. And that debate is so important because we know what it's like to come to another country, even one called the United States of America, where we weren't always so welcome. we were welcomed enough, we were able to create this amazing Jewish civilization and be a part of the American civilization. So we have an entire program called Immigration Nation, and we're trying to make sure that the Jewish community steps up to the plate. Second, we do a huge amount of essential work right now in BDS, in boycott, divestment, and sanctions. There's a major effort in the world. It's sort of been stemmed in America for the idea that Israel is not legitimate, that Israel shouldn't be there. It's not about whether or not you believe in settlements or think that they're wrong. It's about whether or not there should be an Israel at all. And I think that it's so important that we Jews stand up as Jews for this very particularistic, that's the word, issue, and that we also stand up for this other issue, this universalistic issue called immigration reform.
So how many people in Europe would be eligible under the law of return to move here?
3 million, 4 million maybe altogether. It could change the geopolitics.
What do you mean that it could change the geopolitics?
You know, the demography is the key of everything, as you know. Between the Jordan and the Mediterranean, this is the borders, 10 million people, about 500,000 Jews and 500,000 Arabs. And if we want to remain a democratic state, we have to have a majority of Jews in this place.
So you think that immigrants could turn the balance?
Absolutely sure. Already we have the birth rate among Arabs is decreasing and the birth rate among Jews is increasing, so it's already a change. The train of history is on its way.
The thing that makes Judaism dangerous to everybody, to every race, to every nation, to every idea, is that we smash things that aren't true. We don't believe in the boundaries of nation-state. We don't believe in the ideas of these individual gods that protect individual groups of people. These are all artificial constructions, and Judaism really teaches us how to see that. In a sense, our detractors have us right, in that we are a corrosive force. We're breaking down the false gods of all nations and all people because they're not real. And that's very upsetting to people.
The settlement of Yitzhar in the north of the occupied West Bank. Behind the fences and watchtowers live more than 500 Orthodox Jews. There are a number of religious schools here where boys and young men study the Bible and other religious books under the guidance of local rabbis. One of them is Rabbi Yitzhak Shapira, seen here on the front page of an Israeli daily newspaper. The rabbi has provoked a storm of controversy by publishing a new book in which he appears to authorize the killing of non-Jews who are accused of posing a threat to Israel. The book, called The King's Torah, contains quotations from the Talmud, a scholarly Jewish text, to which the rabbi adds his own opinions and interpretations. In a chapter entitled The Killing of Gentiles in Wartime, the rabbi writes, "In any circumstances where the presence of a Gentile causes danger to Israel, it is permitted to kill the Gentile." In addition, he says, in cases where there is a strong suspicion that someone will continue persecuting Jews, it is permissible to kill him, even if at this moment he is not actively persecuting. Some prominent rabbis have recommended this controversial book to their students and followers. The question now is how influential it will be and whether any Jews will act on its teachings.
August 18th, at the Ramada Hotel in central Jerusalem, leading Israeli rabbis gathered to defend the publication of a book by one of their peers that cited rabbinic sources to justify the killing of non-Jews, including innocent children and families.
לא רק אנחנו הדתיים התנגדנו, גם החילונים, אותם שהם שומרי מסורת, כולם התנגדו לחוק. הסיבה הייתה פשוטה. כולנו אומרים בהגדה של פסח, שפוך חמתך אל הגויים, אשר לא ידעוך על ממלכות אשר בשמך לא קראו, כי אכל את יעקב ואת נבל ושמו, שפוך עליהם זעמך, אחרון אפיך ישיגם, תרדוף באף ותשמידם מתחת שמי השם. שאלנו אותם, אתם לא רוצים להגיד בליל הסדר את ההגדה? יש מישהו שרוצה לעקור את האמירה של התנ"ך, את האמירה של התורה בתורה שבכתב או בתורה שבעל פה?
אני חושב שהכנס הזה והדברים ההגיוניים האלה ייכנסו לאוזניים וללבבות המתאימים, ומה שהיה כאן נקווה שזה חלף ולא נצטרך להתכנס יותר בנושאים מסוג זה.
הרב, אם אתם תעשו את העבודה, גם בהלכה יש עניין
כי החיוב של מסירות נפש בבחינת יהרג ואל יעבור לגבי כפייה בניגוד לקיומה של תורה הוא לא בלבד לגבי גויים שבאים לכפייה נגד קיומה של תורה, אלא הוא הדין גם בכפייה של יהודים מאיזה צד שהוא. לפני 50 שנה
But there is such a concept in Jewish law as any population, and under very, very specific circumstances, according to various rabbinic opinions, it would be seemingly permissible to kill children.
אם אין להם ציווי, אדם זה על שם הדמל העליון. אדם הזה יכול הדמל האלוקי. אוקיי? זה פירוש אדם. אנחנו הפכנו את זה, זאת אומרת העם הפך את זה. האדם בן אדם, כמו אתה בן אדם, אתה צריך להתנהג כמו בן אדם. אבל בעיקרון זה על שם עליון. אדם זה הדמל העליון, וכיוון שאנחנו בנים של אלוקים, אז הוא קרא לנו בני אדם. עכשיו, הגויים מה שאין, כן? אלוקים עשה אותם בשביל שיעשו פה...
בשביל לשרת את היהודים. כל הגויים שאתה רואה שיש בעולם, המיליארדים האלה, הם הכל רק בשביל שהיהודים יהיה להם איזה תועלת.
עכשיו,
אנחנו לא רואים את זה, אנחנו לא יודעים בדיוק.
שנייה, כן, היות ואנחנו בגלות, אז אוטומטי עדיין הם עוד לא משרתים אותנו לגמרי, רק חלקית.
כל אחד יהיה לו, כשמשיח יבוא, אז כל אחד יהיה לו...
יהיה לו
אלפים עבדים,
2,800 עבדים.
בינתיים, המשיח לא כאן, אז איך הם משרתים אותנו?
הם בונים לנו רכבים,
בסדר, לא יודעים.
דירות, בניינים, חשמל, הם בונים את זה. לנו, משרתים את היהודים.
אבל יש גם יהודים שעושים את זה.
בקושי.
Our purpose here tonight is to highlight a terrible injustice, a humanitarian crisis. Christians are being systematically exterminated. In 1948, Jews throughout the Middle East faced murder and extermination and fled to the nation of Israel. And today, Christians have no greater ally than the Jewish state. Let me say this. Those who hate Israel hate America. And those who hate Jews hate Christians. And if this room will not recognize that, then my heart weeps that the men and women here will not stand in solidarity with Jews and Christians alike who are persecuted by radicals who seek to murder them. If you hate the Jewish people, you are not reflecting the teachings of Christ. And the very same people who persecute and murder Christians right now, who crucify Christians, who behead children, are the very same people who target and murder Jews for their faith for the same reason. I will say this. I am saddened.
Please, respect for dialogue. Respect, please. We're in America.
I will say this, I am saddened to see that some here, not everyone, but some here, are so consumed with hate that you cannot address your brother. I will say this. If you will not stand with Israel and the Jews, then I will not stand with you. Thank you, and God bless you.
I talked to Peter Lillback about 3 years ago, and I asked him, I said, I think George Washington knew that we would be the key to the restoration of Israel. Now, Peter is one of the great scholars on George Washington. He told me that summer, Glenn, that I don't think you can make that case. I said, Peter, please look for me. I think you can. He came back to me about 6 months later. He's now put a book out with that case. We were established for the establishment of Israel. Now the question is, are we done now or not? Our markings are all over. Take out $1 out of your pocket. Look at the Great Seal of the United States. Take it out. If anybody still carries $1, they're not worth very much anymore, but look at the Great Seal. You'll notice in between the wingspan of the eagle, you will see the Star of David, made out of 13 stars. Now, why is the Star of David there? Because of Haym Solomon, who gave everything for our freedom. But that's not all. If you also see, and if you look at it in color, you will notice that there's a white ring around that. And then a yellow ring. The white ring looks almost like clouds, because it is. The cloud that led the people of Israel out during the day, and the yellow ring represents the fire. In all of our institutions, in all of our seals, the first seal of the United States proposed by Benjamin Franklin was the parting of the Red Sea and the pillar of the fire. That was going to be our symbol. We understood the God of Israel from the very beginning, and we made a covenant with him.
Let us imagine, audience members, that the British are trying to invade once again. They have taken control of our government now. What are you going to do? And people say, well, war, fuck, get the fuck out. We've already done this before. We can do it again. No big deal. If I say it's the Russians, if I say it's the Chinese, okay, fine, no big deal. All right, if that's what we have to do, war sucks. War is hell. But if we got to do it, we got to do it. But if I say it's the Jews, so think about that. What is your reaction to that? Whoa, the Jew. Are you some kind of anti-Semite? Are you some kind of Nazi? What's your reaction to that? I mean, when I said the British are invading, imagine that. Okay, British are invading, British are taking over. Okay, you're fine with that. When I said the Chinese are invading, blah, 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 you're fine with that. As soon as I said the Jews, suddenly you have an issue. Well, now why is that? What is with... You have to check yourself, examine your mind. What type of information are you receiving that's making you think this way? Is it, for instance, because, I don't know, every year there's about 5 at least key movies, at least two major movies, I would say, one or two major movies about the Holocaust, and then plenty of other smaller ones about World War II, blah, 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 and they all deal with, you know, it's the Hitler and the Nazis and blah, blah. You know, and is it because that in almost, if you, I swear to you, and I promise you this, if you were to randomly pick out the, I don't know, just think of the top 10 movies that you've liked, you know, over the past year that have come out, I swear to you that the vast majority of them will have a reference to the Holocaust, Nazis. It'll have the word Nazi in it, or it'll have the word Hitler in it, or it'll have something about being an anti-Semite, or it'll have something about being Jewish, being proud to be Jewish. So you are constantly being reminded, Jewish people are okay, Hitler bad, Holocaust bad, boom, 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 you are fucking being mind controlled, and that's how it is. You are being fucking mind controlled to think this way. I mean, think about if, you know, every year there was like a key, like a huge movie. What was the last one? Valkyrie with Tom Cruise. Oh no, that wasn't even the last one. We also had the, what's that fucking dumb one that just came out with, it was like a sort of a comedy action thing. There's some, I can't even remember the fucking name of it. I think Tarantino did it or something with like some Nazi, God, I can't, Inglorious Bastards?
Inglorious Bastards.
Inglorious Bastards. You know, I mean, this is the kind of shit. You know, what if every year you had a couple of huge blockbuster level movies that were like, you know, don't fight the British are good, Americans are bad, you are fucking bad for fighting the British, da-da-da-da-da. I mean, what is this fucking drilled into your head over and over again? I mean, what would you be thinking? If this was a show about fuck the British, suddenly you would be like, man, what the fuck? Dude, the British are great. Hold on a minute. You know, I mean, come on. I mean, what if I told you that the majority of Congress right now is Chinese, and that 90-something% of the porn industry is controlled by the Chinese, and that almost every major feminist leader is Chinese, and that almost every single gun control law that's been put into place was put in place by a Chinese politician? Wouldn't you be like, holy shit, are these motherfuckers trying to take us over? I think so. I think we got to do something about the Chinese now. Yeah, sure, that's the conclusion. Duh. Okay, fine. Let's go fucking hunt these fuckers down and get them out of our fucking country. Right? Simple. Okay. But as soon as I say Jew, you know, I mean, this is the kind of situation that we're dealing with, guys. It's a programming issue, and you've got to move beyond it, and you have to see them as an enemy that must be destroyed, and it's really that simple.